Being dumb gets you ahead of most people. What do I mean by that? Well, I just wanted to jump on quick and discuss something that's top of mind for me at the moment. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Luke. I built a successful six-figure rent-to-rent business over the last 8 years. I started with around £6,000 in savings. I used the profit from that business to buy a buy-to-let portfolio, and nowadays I teach people how to do what I've done basically. And I was just on the Zoom call with one of my students, and it just got me thinking, like, being dumb actually can be an advantage, and I'm going to explain how. So over the years that I've been mentoring and coaching people, which has been nearly 4 years now, it will be 4 years in January roughly, I've mentored hundreds and hundreds of people, right? And what I found is, when I study these people and I look at the successful ones and then I look at the ones who haven't been as successful, I look at their behaviors and their mindsets and how they manage stress, how they manage rejection, how they process information, and then ultimately how they react and take action, right? And working with all these people, I've noticed that the people that are very intelligent, i.e. they come from high paying jobs, they've studied in university, academically very intelligent, right? Versus the people who maybe didn't go to university or haven't come from a high paying job, aren't particularly skilled in anything academic. There's differences in those two different types of people's behaviors, right? What I've noticed is the people that come from an intelligent background, they want to have all of the answers in front of them, right, before they take that first step. They want to know, in terms of rent to rent, they want to understand exactly how rent to rent works from start to finish. They want to make sure they're saying the right things to landlords. They want to make sure they're viewing the right properties. They want all the data in front of them before they actually start to take action, because they're used to being academically smart and working their way through things how you would do in school and in university, and they're used to understanding something 100% and excelling at it, being like an A-star student before they actually start to do the practical work and start to build the business, right? Whereas someone less intelligent, someone who hasn't studied for years, someone who doesn't have a high-paying job, that person doesn't have the same thought process. The less intelligent person, the one who could be perceived as dumb almost, just tends to take the next step that's in front of them before they know all of the information. And it's interesting because you would think that the more intelligent person would thrive more in a business environment, but in my experience, it's actually the more dumb person that actually seems to do better, because they don't have such a high expectation of what they should understand or know before they start something. They just put one foot in front of the other, take one step, take another step. And I find it really interesting, the psychology of it, because I've been an entrepreneur for the last 8 years, and I don't class myself as someone who's massively intelligent. I think I'm relatively smart, but there's a lot more clever people than me. Some of my students are a lot more intelligent than me. But one thing I have is I'll give something a go, and I'll take that first step before I know exactly how to do everything. And what I found is, over the years, that's actually served me quite well, especially being an entrepreneur. You have to bootstrap a business and start from scratch, and oftentimes you're learning on the job, and that's something that I've done from the very start, and I've been doing that for the last 8 years now. Taking imperfect action can actually really speed up your progress, because you don't have to have all the answers before you start. You actually learn on the job. And if I take myself back 8 years ago, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I knew that I wanted to get started in property. I knew that I had only around 5-6 grand in savings, so that kind of eliminated all the other property strategies, right? I only had a small pot of money, so there wasn't really many other strategies that I could choose other than rent to rent. And I watched a few months of YouTube videos. I didn't have a mentor or a program that I could join at the time. Rent to rent was still quite new back then, so there weren't many reputable mentors around at the time when I started. So the way I learned was just by going and doing and taking imperfect action. And although it was a crash course and very chaotic at the time, I put a lot of stress on myself. I put a lot of stress on my partner. I was very much making mistakes as I went. but then I would learn quite quickly and get like an instant feedback loop from each mistake, and then I would improve and iterate. And by doing that, I guess that's how I got my business to £5,000 profit a month in my first 12 months of operations. You know, there's not many businesses that allow you to get to that stage so quickly. And I think I got there just by taking imperfect action, messing up, trying again, messing up, trying again. And my resilience and determination turned me into a quality entrepreneur over time, right? But initially, it was the imperfect action that got me there. I think by not being so clever and not having such a high expectation of what I should know before I start actually helped me. And I think it does serve other people as entrepreneurs well too, because when I look at my success students, the ones who come to work with us from high paying jobs, the ones that are very intelligent, it can take them longer to grasp the concept of starting imperfectly. Whereas someone who doesn't come from such a intelligent background, I find that they don't have the resistance of taking that first step because they don't know any better, right? So they just put one foot in front of the other and learn on the job. And those people tend to get their first rent-to-rent deal quicker than the more intelligent people, right? So I say all of that to say this: if you're watching this video and you feel like starting a rent-to-rent business could be too much for you, it might be too difficult for you, I want you to know that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to be determined, resilient, and be willing to take that first step. And if you can take imperfect action over and over again and learn as you go, you really can do some great things in this world. And that's been my story. That's been many of my successful rent-to-rent student stories. Being dumb can actually be an advantage, right? So give yourself a bit of grace. If you haven't been the best academic person, I got kicked out of school in year 9. I had 1 GCSE. I've still managed to become a relatively successful businessman, and many of my students, you know, have come from similar working class backgrounds. They're not perfect academics. They're not people that come from high paying jobs into starting their business. But by being willing to take imperfect action and being willing to learn as you go, you can thrive in entrepreneurship. You really can. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's something that's been top of mind for me recently. If you're watching this and you don't feel like you're the smartest person or the most intelligent, neither am I. I still made something of myself. Being not the smartest person can actually be an advantage. If you want me to help you start or scale your rent-to-rent business, I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link and book a call. On that call, we'll have a chat and see if we're a good fit for each other. If not, then that's fine too. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.